just want to keep the shoulder blades pulled back, pull out on the bar to lengthen it. Another thing you want to make sure is that as you go out, you want your kneecaps to track your toes. When I say kneecaps tracking the toes, some people when they squat in the beginning, they don't activate their hips. And so as I go down, their knees will actually be a little bit inside their feet. What this does is it makes you move over your hips, and your back will actually bend forward to get low. And right here, I can't get any lower than this just because I have to move over my femurs. Now if I go down and I pull my knees out and activate my hips, I drop in between my hips and I can keep my back more upright and I can get a little bit more range of motion. The thing you have to watch out for is if you have that issue and you're trying to pull your knees out, we want to keep the feet planted and flat on the ground. So you don't want to move at the ankles, you want to move through the hips to get the knees out. So a front squat is really the same exact criteria, points to look at, moving through the hips, keeping the knees aligned with the feet as we go down, keeping the chest up. But now we're actually focusing the stabilization instead of being stabilizing the bar overhead. Now we're stabilizing on your shoulders. So really you can just hang out here with the bar on your shoulders and it shouldn't fall off. We want it pretty close to your neck and right on top of your delt. But we just kind of cross the arms just to kind of for a little extra support here. Throughout the exercise, we want to keep your arms actually perpendicular to the floor, or parallel to the floor. Get that nice kind of wide stance outside your shoulders, feet turned out slightly. And again, we're just going to kind of descend through the hips, sinking down, and then standing up out. So as we stand up, we really want to focus having the weight through the heels.
Think I should do one from the side just to see that? Or
If you want.
I think seeing the hips is a good thing.
You're lucky you don't have the rectus femoris stretch. We do this actually right after we squat. For the main reason is because we want to get more range of motion in the squat. And because of all the short choppy movements in volleyball, the short steps, a lot of times people's hip flexors tighten up. The other thing is we want to use the glutes and the hamstrings as much as we can when we squat. And if we stretch the hip flexors in between the set, it actually relaxes them and actually inhibits them. So potentially we could actually get more glute hamstring activation while we squat. So when we do this, we want to have one foot up on the ball, the knee actually right in front of the ball, so we don't want the knee really far out from it. You can put your knee on like a sweatshirt or a pad or anything that's soft just to kind of make it a little bit more comfortable. From here, you actually want on this left side, if I'm stretching the left side, I actually want to squeeze my butt cheek. So I tighten the glutes. That actually rotates my hips up a little bit and it helps relax the hip flexor. And then from here, I'm going to reach as high as I can. I like reaching through my palm and really reach up to the ceiling, and that's going to lengthen everything through the hip flexors and into the side. While you're doing it, make sure you're breathing. Deep breaths in and out. I like to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Make it nice and slow. A lot of times if you get 8 to 10 really slow breaths in and out, deep breaths, it will kind of equal 30 seconds, so you can time your rest that way too.
We get from the side, Steve.
So on the one leg bench squat, you just kind of start with your foot just a couple inches in front of a bench or a box. So from here, we're just going to go on one leg. Through the exercise, we want to kind of tighten the glutes and the hamstrings so you kind of flex those muscles. And that actually will help support the knees. So through the exercise, we want to control where the knee goes. We don't want the knee especially to go inward. We want you to kind of control and stabilize it. So we don't want to see it wiggling around very much. As we do this, we're just going to pull the foot forward and bring the arms forward to kind of counterbalance ourselves. Keep the weight through the heels, touch the bench, and stand up. We want to go nice and slow as we go down, just so we can control all your limbs as we do it. As we do it, if that's very difficult for you and you can't make it down to the bench, we just kind of build things up. So you can roll sweatshirts up, you can put a bag there, you can really anything to give you a little bit more height. And then as you get better at it, if you can actually do it off, get to the bench without actually sitting on the bench, just touching it and coming right back up, we'll then actually take a lower box. So this is about 18 inches. A lot of times at gyms you have like step kind of aerobic boxes that you can use. Those are great because you can build them up about 3 inches per box. We have 12-inch boxes here, and then we just put chunks of foam on top of it. So they ride in like their buck. I knocked out a 12-inch box with two chunks of foam, and we just try to go lower each time. Some of the girls go on just the 12-inch box. So. And then you eventually get to where you just don't even need the bench at all. You just go down to your calf. So the one-arm cable push, we're going to get into a split stance here. Again, we want the knee right over the heel, the back leg bent, and we want the back heel up. If the heel's flat, it actually makes your back the pivot point as opposed to the weight going through your hips. With this exercise, we want to actually hold the weight so that your arm's at 90-degree angle, and then the cable's going right through your forearm. We're going to keep the shoulders square. We're just actually pushing out and forward just with the arm. So we don't want to see your trunk or your shoulder girdle move at all. So we're actually just stabilizing the body as we push the weight. So we have a one-arm dumbbell press. Again, we're going to be in that split stance. The knee is going to be over the heel. We want to have weight on both feet, so your weight's evenly distributed. Shoulders will be right over the hips. Now we're going to bring the weight out away from your body again. So we got that 90-degree angle. And you can just bring the weight just a little bit lower. We're just pressing the weight here. We want to keep the shoulders flat. So as we go through it, it's actually best to be done right in front of a mirror so you can see if you're leaning away from the weight and keeping your shoulders flat. So it'd be just a little, probably bigger than this. This might be just a little bit small for me. So we got 2 different sizes, but it could be 65 to 75 centimeters if you want to write that on there. A lot of places have 2 different sizes, but they always blow them up to different sizes though too. They're always accurate. So. All right, I'm talking. I'm standing up, sitting up. All right, so the supine lateral ball roll is actually a total body exercise. We're going to get everything in your posterior chain from your hamstrings to glutes, but then also work your obliques as we go out and hold this exercise. So we're going to roll out on the ball. If you don't have a stick, it's not a problem, but it just kind of helps you with a little visual feedback. The stick is actually just there and just sitting in your hands here. If you didn't have the stick, you just put your arms straight out. Throughout the exercise, we want your heels underneath your knees, and we want your hips extended. So hips extended means kind of extend your hips through the hip joint. Once you do that, you don't actually have to arch your back. It's just an extension of the hip, actually hips in the hip joint. So from this position, you're going to take one step towards your other foot, and then you're going to step out and kind of forward so that your feet are parallel to each other, and you're just going to roll your upper body out. So now we're in the same position. as the center, and then we roll back. It's easiest to kind of go one side at a time when you're learning, so just kind of go back to the side. I believe we have a 3-second hold on the program.
Like your limbo dancer.
So one thing that people do a lot when they come out to the side, a lot of the weight shifts to your outside foot. They actually raise their inside foot, and then their hips kind of turn and rotate. So we want to keep the hips flat, and we want to keep the feet planted, and we want the knees over the heels as we go through it.
You want to do it from... Okay.
The goal is really you're just trying to have your feet, your whole body look the same. So this is a 3-position prone cobra. What we're going to do is lay on the stomach. First position, we're going to bring the arms out in front, a little bit of an angle, thumbs pointed up. We're just going to try to raise the chest and thumbs up to the ceiling. We'll hold that for 10 seconds. Then we'll do a side raise, so the arms are perpendicular with your body, pushing your thumbs up to the ceiling. And the final one, we'll bring the arms back, really try to push the chest out and squeeze the shoulder blades together. So when you go through this, the tendency is that because you're pushing your chest up and arching your back, you want to lift your head and kind of look forward. But that actually will tighten the back of your neck. So you actually want to look kind of towards the floor or keep your neck straight as we go through it. So at the bottom, we just come up, reach through your fingertips, raise your thumbs up as high as you can, and hold for 10 seconds. You can squeeze the glutes here. Second one, perpendicular to your body, chest is up. And then the third one, squeezing the shoulder blades, making sure you're not looking up with your head, and then keeping the thumbs pointed up towards the ceiling.
Almost like a skydive.
So this is a one-arm dumbbell snatch. Sometimes it's done 2 ways. One way it's done, sometimes people actually put the weight between their legs and squat. We're going to actually do it with your feet actually just underneath your hips. And we're going to hinge at the hips forward, keeping the back nice and tight as we go through it, and then exploding the weight up over your head. So you're just going to keep the back nice and tight, stand up nice and tall, knees just a little bit soft, not locked out, bending forward at the hip, and then exploding the weight up over your head. So just coming back down, bending at the hips, exploding the weight over your head. You can use the other hand to also bring the weight down, kind of support it. So if you looked at the side version, you'd be coming here, keeping the back tight. And on a traditional snatch, you would actually come under the weight and catch in a squat. But we're just really worried about jumping and pulling the weight. So as long as you land with a little bit of a knee bend, it's all right in my book.
How much?
Again.